Hey Deckers, Liam here. By now, you all know what Vampire Survivors is, right? Well, what if someone took the basic idea of the repeated runs, random weapons and items and turned it into a constant runner first-person shooter? Well, that is exactly what you get with Vampire Hunters from Gamecraft Studios, and the developer sent over a copy to my Steam curator that I spotted, so I thought, well, why not give it a go and see what it's about? Now, the premise of the game is obviously pretty simple. You are constantly walking away from this wall that is being pushed along behind you, so you have to keep on walking. You cannot stop constantly. Enemies will spawn in front of you to block you, so you have to destroy them and collect all the orbs that fall to level up. On level up, you'll get various buffs for your equipped weapons. There'll be various new weapons until your screen is half full of weapons and it really does look completely ridiculous. Now, you can run in this game, but if you decide to run instead of walk, enemies will begin to spawn quicker, which is most of the time not really a problem when you are basically a one-person army. Now, I was a bit iffy about looking into and videoing this one since the Steam reviews were only on mostly positive, not even just a plain positive, so I wondered why, because the basic idea of it seemed pretty ideal. It is hooking into something very popular with an interesting spin of filling your screen with weapons and having you run and shoot like the classics. I think honestly the main problem here is the tutorial. It's too long, slow, and honestly the tutorial was kind of boring. Once you manage to push through that though, it definitely feels better. Even the second level is such a huge improvement. When you have a game like this and you're an indie developer, the tutorials really need to sell you on it, which it doesn't. And even with the second level being such a huge improvement, there's still something that just feels a bit off here, and I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is. You see, I'm not getting the blazing excitement that you would expect from a first-person shooter, and I'm not quite hitting the feeling of needing that one more run that you get from Vampire Survivors and all of its many clones. That said, there's plenty to like about this game as well. It runs great on the Steam Deck out of the box, except for some issues with small text, but even massive AAA developers have problems with text scaling, so this small indie developer is not alone in that. The weapons are pretty cool as well, and the many upgrades it gives you are over the top and ridiculous, and I do really like the reloading animation with the ticker on each weapon. That's pretty cool. And once a run properly gets going, the difficulty does get turned up a little notch or two, and that I even failed quite a few times on some of it. I think one of the problems is the speed of it, because for a shooter, especially at the start, it's mechanically too slow for the idea of it, and the single corridors just don't really feel like they currently work for it. This might just be because some of it I don't think is fast enough, and the enemies are not dynamic enough. Too many just walk or fly at you, which might work for Vampire Survivors and the many 2D clones like it. But when you're shooting in first person, you need something a little bit more. And the thing is though, when enemies start actually firing back at you, then it gets interesting again. When you have these skulls coming at you that fire at you, you actually have to dodge about quite a bit and do some fancy footwork. Then the game really starts shining again. And when you get a few bigger bullet sponge enemies, they might make you panic and backtrack a little bit. When you've got the wall coming up behind you, then it can get a little bit crazy. In Vampire Hunters, you do have infinite ammo, so that's not a problem. The issue is the constant reloading, but given how many weapons you have, for the most part, taking down enemies is not particularly difficult. There's also a permanent upgrade system in the game, so you can actually speed up the reload speed there. There's quite a few different meta upgrades, like upgrading your fire rate, your damage, max HP, armor, more HP on level up, and more. Some enemies will also drop special relics during a run, which afterwards you can then equip to give you a permanent character boost. The name of the game here is killing and as quickly as you can to get your guns reloaded and ready for the next wave. Overall, Vampire Hunters is a fun idea, and it's actually weirdly chill to play on the Steam Deck, but I don't think it's going to be the next big thing or even a popular thing unless they gently redesign some parts of it to truly pull your attention and get you wanting to come back for another run. A little speed boost at the start of a run so it's not so slow, a much better tutorial is needed, some more varied enemies, and then it will probably do quite a bit better. So it's not a bad game right now, it's just not hitting the greatness I genuinely think it should be, but I do like it, to be clear. That's just my thoughts on it for now. Basically, if you like lots of guns, repeated runs, and trying out different combinations with a bit of a challenge and lots of upgrades, this might be your jam as well. But that's it for my little take on Vampire Hunters. Let me know what you think in the comments, leave a like, and I'll see you later.